In a universe filled with endless mysteries, there's a haunting possibility that a wormhole could rip through the fabric of space and time, opening a portal to your future self, someone you've yet to meet but might someday become. Imagine staring face to face with a version of you who's traveled through decades of choices, mistakes, triumphs, and regrets. A mirror that shows not just who you are, but who you're destined to become. The paradox is staggering. Could this meeting change everything, or simply confirm that your future self is just a shadow of your present? If the universe whispers secrets about time and destiny, then perhaps the greatest encounter awaits inside that swirling vortex, waiting to challenge what you think is possible. Stick around, because this isn't just science fiction. It's a journey into the very essence of your existence. The discovery of the wormhole. The moment scientists first confirmed the existence of a wormhole, it felt like peering into the fabric of reality, tearing apart and revealing something impossible yet undeniable. It wasn't just a theoretical prediction anymore. There was tangible evidence, an anomaly in the fabric of space-time detected through gravitational lensing and subtle distortions in light's path. These phenomena hinted at something extraordinary, a tunnel, a shortcut through the cosmos, bridging two distant points in space and time. The discovery came after decades of relentless pursuit, using highly sensitive instruments capable of detecting tiny fluctuations in gravitational waves. It was a breakthrough that challenged everything humanity thought it understood about the universe and its boundaries. What made the discovery even more gripping was the ambiguity surrounding the wormhole's origin. Some scientists speculated it could be a natural anomaly, formed by the tumultuous dancers of black holes and cosmic strings, while others believe it might be created by an unknown form of exotic matter, capable of stabilizing these ephemeral tunnels long enough to be explored. The first real images of the wormhole's event horizon appeared surreal. They looked like shimmering ripples on a dark, undulating surface, an otherworldly portal that seemed to pulse with an energy that defied the natural laws known to physics. Each image raised more questions than answers. Was it a window to another galaxy, or perhaps a warped glimpse of a parallel universe? But what truly made the discovery cinematic was its potential. It instantly ignited debates about interstellar travel and the possibility, initially dismissed as science fiction, of reaching distant civilizations in mere moments. A wormhole could revolutionize humanity's understanding of distance, effectively collapsing light years into mere seconds of traversing, if it could be stabilized and navigated. Yet, the paradoxes that lurked in the discovery haunted scientists. Could the wormhole have been created or manipulated by some higher intelligence? Could it already be a tool for cosmic travelers to pass through, or a trap set by an alien intelligence beyond comprehension? The uncertainty pulsed through the scientific community with both excitement and dread, transforming what was once thought mere speculation into an intoxicating possibility. The discovery didn't just add a new chapter to astrophysics. It ignited a firestorm of philosophical and existential questions. The universe, once thought to be laid out in a predictable, linear fashion, now looked like a layered, multidimensional canvas. As scientists scrambled to understand how to decode the wormhole's secrets, the very notion of encountering a future self through it was born, an eerie, paradoxical thought. Could the universe have bent so far that it's possible not just to explore distant worlds, but to meet the one version of yourself that exists, stranded or thriving on a different temporal trajectory, through a shimmering, unstable portal? The discovery's beauty lay in its ambiguity, a fragile doorway that both promised salvation and posed profound risks, a cinematic symbol of human curiosity and the chaotic, unpredictable nature of the cosmos. The decision to enter. Standing at the precipice of a wormhole, the choice to step through hinges on more than just curiosity. It wrestles with fear, hope, and the unknown. The mind races with questions. Am first risking everything first love or stand for? Will first find answers, or will first shatter the fragile present in pursuit of understanding the impossible? It's an instant of chaos where logic and emotion clash. Some feel an irresistible pull, a whisper from within that beckons them toward the other side, promising knowledge, redemption, or perhaps a reunion with a version of themselves that's been lost to time. Others hesitate, haunted by the paradox of confronting their future self. What if that encounter changes their sense of self permanently? What if the person on the other side is someone they no longer recognize, or worse, someone they fear? The decision often feels like grasping at the edges of reality, teetering into a dimension where causality blurs. Stepping inside a wormhole means embracing the idea that the universe is more fluid than it appears, that beneath the fabric of space-time lies a web connecting past, present, and future in a tangled, unpredictable dance. For many, the pull is irresistible because the stakes involve understanding their own life story, altering it, advancing it, or perhaps uncovering truths buried deep within their subconscious. The uncertainty isn't just about what lies beyond. It's about who they might become after crossing that threshold. Is it a leap of faith or a reckless plunge? The decision is haunted by a paradox. Once you step into that tunnel, you may forever be changed, yet remaining on the sidelines leaves questions unanswered, the story frozen in an ever-growing, unsolved mystery. Sometimes the moment to decide arrives suddenly, almost painfully. An inexplicable urge intensifies, and all rational thought is drowned out by a visceral sensation. The person standing at the portal feels an electric charge in their veins, every nerve screaming yes or no. There's adrenaline in that choice, a primal sense that history and destiny hinge on this one act. If they choose to go, they walk into the unknown with nothing but hope. Hope that their future self exists. Hope that the journey will bring clarity instead of chaos. Conversely, turning away might seem like a safe retreat, but carries the almost unbearable weight of regret. The mind can endlessly replay what might have been, gnawing at the edges of resolve, as the universe waits silently for a decision that could unravel or reinforce everything they hold dear. The act of choosing isn't purely mental. It's an emotional battlefield. The courage needed surpasses logic, driven by an almost instinctive desire to understand the fabric of oneself and reality. Each heartbeat becomes deafening, echoing the paradox of free will against deterministic currents. If they meet their future and choose differently, are they merely rewriting a preordained script or creating a new, uncharted timeline? The stakes are cosmic, yet intensely personal. In that fleeting moment, the diverging path splits into two, one that explores the depths of time's labyrinth, and another that remains in the comfort of the known, forever wondering what secrets the future might hold, or whether the future self they encounter will be a mirror, a stranger, or a reflection of their own fears and hopes. Crossing the dimensional rift. A wormhole, with its twisting corridors through space-time, presents a bridge that defies our usual understanding of reality. When you step into one, you're not merely entering a tunnel. You're crossing a threshold into a realm where the fabric of existence warps and folds, allowing passage across cosmic expanses that would otherwise take lifetimes to traverse. If you had the rare chance to meet your future self within this distorted dimension, the encounter would be an extraordinary collision of timelines, a meeting with a version of yourself shaped by a different sequence of choices and consequences, yet fundamentally connected by the same core identity. As the wormhole's destabilizing chaos swirls around you, crossing into the other side feels like slipping through a tear in the universe. Light bends unnaturally, and reality teeters between what is and what could be. Your future self might appear suddenly, calm or frantic, depending on their journey through time, standing amidst the shimmering distortions of space-time. This moment acts like a liminal space, a cinematic freeze frame where the paradox of meeting yourself becomes tangible. Is it comforting or terrifying? The mind reels at the prospect of sharing a space with a version of you that has already made choices you're yet to face. The paradoxes multiply almost instantly. Seeing your future self forces an unraveling of cause and effect. If this encounter influences either of your paths, the very fabric of your timeline could shift, reality warping again, unpredictably. What if your future self has crucial knowledge about consequences yet to unfold, deep secrets held in the folds of a future life? Would you cling to that information or fear that knowing might alter everything? Engaging across this dimensional rift creates a cascade of questions about free will, destiny, and the fluidity of existence, each tense moment amplified by the unstable warp of the wormhole itself. Yet, amid the cinematic drama of crossing such a threshold, there's also a strange silence, an echo of eternity stretching both ways. The boundaries of time collapse into a shared moment of pure potential. You could be facing a snapshot of you at your happiest or your most broken. The encounter becomes a mirror that reflects not just who you are, but who you might become. It's a raw confrontation with fate, layered with the possibility of knowledge and chaos alike. And somewhere inside all of it, beneath the chaos and wonder, there lingers a question. If you walk away from this meeting, do you carry the ripples with you? Or is some fragment of your future forever altered, intertwined with the unknown? Encountering the future self. The moment you're pulled into a wormhole and emerge face-to-face with your future self is a collision of reality and possibility that can feel almost surreal. Your senses tinge with the strange weight of knowing this entity has already lived the moments you are still chasing, yet it exists here and now, outside the linear constraints of time. A future version of yourself might be calm and composed, or perhaps visibly aged and burdened by the weight of years, yet unshared. Whatever their appearance, their presence demands an emotional response louder than words, a mixture of curiosity, fear, hope, or even doubt. It's as if the fabric of time itself has folded into a mirror, revealing an alternate reality that's both familiar and utterly alien. Interacting with this version of yourself opens a Pandora's box of paradoxes. On one hand, there's an instinct to ask endless questions. Have first made the right choices? What regrets should first avoid? But on the other hand, engagement is fraught with unpredictability. The future self might offer wisdom, or they might be a cautionary tale, showing what could go wrong. They could carry the scars of tough decisions, or a quiet pride in achievements yet to be realized. The challenge lies in balancing curiosity with caution, knowing that what's said and done could ripple back in ways you can't fully grasp. Every word exchanged might subtly shift the course of your evolution, reminding you that even in this moment, reality is delicate and susceptible to change. There's an almost cinematic tension in this encounter, highlighting loneliness as much as connection. Your future self might seem like a stranger who's glimpsed into your deepest fears and desires. The conversation, if it happens at all, is layered with unspoken silences, moments of mutual recognition that beyond time, you are fundamentally the same person, yet fundamentally different. You may wonder if they wish they could warn you or if they envy your untainted innocence. Conversely, they might harbor regrets they'd prefer to keep hidden, knowing that revealing certain truths could unravel the very fabric of your identity. This moment stretches beyond logic, becoming a potent symbol of the choices, paths, and opportunities that define you. Ultimately, confronting your future self through a wormhole challenges your understanding of agency and fate. It's a reflection that both tempts and terrifies, showing possibilities you may never reach, yet also offering a glimpse into the potential consequences of every decision. The experience becomes a kaleidoscope of emotion, awe, vulnerability, and even a whisper of rebellion against destiny's rigid hold. Your future self embodies everything you are and everything you might become, existing in a fragile limbo that both questions and affirms your worth. Just as quickly as they appeared, the encounter might fade back into the fabric of space-time, leaving you with more questions than answers, yet profoundly altered in ways you might only discover long after. The face of the future. A wormhole, those mysterious bridges in space-time often portrayed in science fiction as shortcuts through the universe, possess a paradoxical allure when imagining encounters with one's future self. If, by some improbable twist of cosmic fate, you step through such a portal and face your future incarnation, the face that gazes back could be a mirror to both certainty and uncertainty. It might bear the marks of choices yet to be made, or the quiet calm of someone who has long reconciled their journey through time. The face of the future is not necessarily older or more battered. It could reveal a paradox of recognition. What's familiar, yet subtly shifted by the passage of, perhaps, decades. What's fascinating is how this encounter would challenge your perception of identity. Your future self might look just like you, but their eyes could hint at a different story, more wisdom, or perhaps a hint of regret lurking behind a knowing smile. The face might appear serene or tense with unspoken history. The human element becomes a canvas of contradictions. You see lines that weren't there before, but also a clarity in expression that only experience can confer. The face becomes a symbol of time's relentless march, yet also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, revealing how someone can carry the weight of future knowledge while still retaining the core of who they are now. Such an encounter sparks immediate questions about the nature of change and continuity. Would your future self look at you with a mixture of familiarity and pity? Or could there be a silent understanding, an unspoken conversation conveyed through a single glance that transcends words? No matter how advanced the universe's technology, the face of your future self could embody contradictions, simultaneously an echo of who you are and a glimpse of what you might become. In essence, it's a visual representation of possibility and contradiction, an image both comforting and unsettling, because it directly confronts the notion of free will versus destiny. Caught in this cinematic moment, you'd realize that the face of the future isn't merely a reflection. It's a mirror into the infinite potential embedded within each decision you make today. Every wrinkle, every change, is a testament to the roads taken and those left behind. Meeting the face might fill you with awe, dread, or hope. It would be a reminder that the person in front of you, whether younger or older, is a culmination of your journeys, shaped by moments yet to come. In that instant, the face becomes more than just appearance. It turns into a living, breathing symbol of the endless possibilities and uncertainties woven into the fabric of time itself. Initial shock and confusion. Suddenly stumbling upon your future self through a wormhole feels like a punch to the gut, a jarring collision of worlds that defies all expectation. Time, which normally feels linear and predictable, seems to fracture in that moment. Your mind reels, grasping at shards of certainty, yet everything you depended on tilts wildly off balance. The face staring back at you is familiar, yet impossibly distant, like a mirror reflecting an alien version of yourself. Your senses flood. There's an adrenaline surge. Your heartbeat accelerates. And for an instant, all you can do is stand there, frozen, overwhelmed by the paradox unfolding before you. The shock isn't simply about seeing the future come into view. It's the visceral realization that this is not some hallucination or dream. You are truly in the presence of your future self. The questions churn in your mind. How? Why now? How much time has passed? Did first change something? Or is this inevitable? The mind struggles to process the cascade of information. There's an unsettling feeling of disorientation, as if reality has splintered into multiple layers, each vying for attention. The future version might look older or younger, but the expressions are strikingly familiar, yet burdened with knowledge you cannot access. It feels like gazing into a window of infinite possibilities, each whispering of what could be and what might never be. For a brief, chaotic moment, confusion clouds your thoughts. The air thickens with uncertainty. You might instinctively reach out, trying to confirm this isn't a hallucination, perhaps touching hands or trying to speak, only to realize that communication could be impossible or dangerous. Your mind races through the absurdity. Is this a coincidence or some cosmic joke? Are you hallucinating? Or is this piece of the universe's deepest secret? Every second stretches painfully, filled with the silent humility of facing something profoundly beyond ordinary comprehension. It's a roller coaster of emotion, fear, curiosity, awe, all condensed into a fleeting instance of recognition and bewilderment. Once the initial shock dulls just enough to breathe, the deeper reality sets in. Your future self may hold answers, or more questions. That fleeting moment of disbelief is a powerful reminder of the paradox at the heart of time travel. Your mind can't help but linger on the impossibility. How can one person exist in two places at once, seemingly both the same and different? That moment, raw and disorienting, seeds the understanding that what's ahead will challenge everything you believe about identity, fate, and the very fabric of reality itself. Dialogue and diverging paths. Meeting your future self inside a wormhole is a scene that dances on the edge of reality and possibility, where the very fabric of time seems to warp for a moment of cosmic confrontation. As the two figures step into each other's view, questions unfold like star charts. What choices led them here, and what truths might unravel from their encounter? The conversation begins hesitantly, a collision of knowledge and uncertainty, riddled with paradoxes that threaten to shatter their understanding of existence. One might ask, are you me or a simulation of what first could become? While the other responds with echoes of wisdom and regret, a mirror reflecting not just potential, but the twisting pathways of becoming. The dialogue is laden with tension, each word weighing heavily in the infinite expanse of that shimmering portal. The current self might probe with curiosity and hope, seeking reassurance or warnings, but the future self, hardened by choices made and lost, might speak in riddles or silent stares. Diverging paths ripple through their exchange. What if the future self warns of a road not yet taken, a disaster waiting to unfold? Or perhaps the future self is the embodiment of the very fears the present self suppresses. What if that glimpse of the future is toxic, a toxic prophecy that stains the mind with doubt? Their conversation becomes a dance of possibilities, where every word could shift the course of reality, and every hesitation magnifies into a choice with profound repercussions. As the dialogue deepens, the divergence between their realities becomes starkly clear. The past self could be tempted to heed warnings, veer away from a decision, or cling to hope, forging a different future. The future self might tempt the present with visions of what could be success, enlightenment, chaos, or ruin, shrugging off regrets like a shadow cast by lightning. Yet, in these moments of intimacy and revelation, paradox beats loudly. If the future self reveals too much, it might destabilize the present, causing a ripple effect that could prevent that future from ever manifesting. Conversely, withholding information could condemn both to a loop of missed opportunities. The outcome hinges on choice, whether to trust or to ignore, to act or to stand still. Their encounter isn't just a meeting of two temporal entities. It's a crossroads where every decision ripples across the continuum. Will they part ways with newfound clarity, or will the knowledge shared in this fleeting moment create a new reality altogether? Perhaps it's the unpredictability that's most captivating. Each response, each hesitation, can send them spiraling down divergent roads that lead toward enlightenment or catastrophe. The wormhole becomes a silent witness to a dialogue that may rewrite their destinies, a vivid reminder that past, present, and future are woven tightly in the fabric of infinite possibilities, a testament to the chaos and beauty of time itself. Revealing the future's knowledge. When gravity warps space-time enough to create a wormhole, the boundaries between past, present, and future blur into a tangled fabric. Encountering a future version of oneself inside such a cosmic tunnel unleashes a torrent of profound questions, particularly about the knowledge one might gain. In theory, the future self could hold secrets that span entire lifetimes, breakthroughs in health, lost loved ones, or even choices not yet made. But the paradoxes and risks of such an encounter are staggering. For example, if your future self reveals detailed advancements, such as how you'll someday cure a disease or succeed in your career, does that yet-to-be-made knowledge change your current decisions, creating a ripple that might alter your future self's truths altogether? This revelation could be both a gift and a curse. Imagine speaking with someone who has already seen what lies ahead, an older, wiser version of you bursting with insights and warnings. Their knowledge may seem limitless, like possessing a cheat sheet to the universe, but it comes with a strange sense of responsibility. Revelations about personal tragedies or missed opportunities could cut deep, forcing you to confront truths that might be better left buried. Alternatively, the future self's knowledge might serve as a guiding light, helping you avoid mistakes that would otherwise cast shadows over your life. A kind of cosmic GPS that's both empowering and terrifying. Yet, revealing the future isn't without its paradoxes. The very act of sharing insights can influence those events, creating a loop of cause and effect that risks unraveling your timeline's natural flow. If your future self gives you specific predictions, say that you'll win a certain award or meet a significant person, it raises the question, are those events predestined, or can they be influenced by the knowledge you acquire now? Sometimes, knowing too much risks paradoxically freezing your actions, trapped in indecision or trying to manipulate fate, which might backfire, rendering the so-called truth irrelevant or impossible to verify. It's a cosmic catch-22, where knowledge becomes both a lantern and a trap. Within this chaos lies the tantalizing possibility that the future self could act as a mentor, handing down wisdom that transcends time. Their insights could accelerate your growth, populating your mind with innovations, philosophies, or understanding of the universe itself. But if you receive knowledge about your death or the end of your world, the emotional weight might become almost unbearable, turning an encounter meant to enlighten into a cosmic burden. In the end, the revelation of future knowledge through a wormhole would be a game of balancing curiosity with caution. Each piece of truth a key unlocking infinite potential, but also risking the unraveling of the very fabric of your existence. The warning or the offer. In the dim glow of a wormhole's swirling energy tunnel, encountering a future self becomes a moment thick with paradox and potential. This isn't just about science fiction fantasy. It's about confronting a mirror that reflects what might be, and that mirror often bears a message, a choice, or a warning. The future self, appearing suddenly in the now, exudes a calm, authority, or perhaps an urgency that cuts through the chaos of the moment. It's as if time itself loops, folding over on itself, and you're faced with an entity that has traveled through that fold. Knowing what's to come, or at least possessing the knowledge of how choices ripple outward into a tangled web of destiny. The warning, if it comes, tends to carry a weight that is almost suffocating. It might be delivered in a voice that sounds both familiar and alien, like hearing your own fears or regrets articulated directly. For example, imagine your future self trembling slightly, eyes darting with regret, whispering warnings about a decision you're about to make that seems trivial now, perhaps a financial gamble, a risky relationship, or a moral compromise. The stakes are high. This warning is a glimpse into a possible future where everything you hold dear could unravel. The paradox becomes clearer here. By meeting yourself, you're tasked with preventing a future that is already, somehow, set in motion. It's a thread pulled taut, teetering on the edge of unraveling reality itself. But the encounter isn't solely about warnings. Sometimes it offers a tantalizing proposition, a choice cloaked in temptation or hope. The future self might present a version of an ultimatum, an opportunity to alter your fate, to leap across the chasm of time and take a different path. It might be tempting, seductive even, to grasp this chance, to rewrite history, or perhaps to ask for a glimpse of the outcome if you dare to follow that alternative. Yet, this is where the narrative thickens into cinematic drama. The very act of accepting such an offer could unleash ripples more profound than anyone could predict. The wormhole's surreal glow feels like a portal to chaos or salvation, depending on your perspective. And underlying this entire encounter is a haunting question. Are you truly meeting your future self? Or is this a reflection of your deepest fears woven into the fabric of space-time? It's the tension of certainty versus uncertainty. One moment, you're offered clarity. The next, you're swallowed by doubt. The future self, whether warning or offering, embodies every what if, every possibility and pitfall. Stepping away from the wormhole might seem like the safe choice, but the emotional and philosophical weight of that brief intersection lingers, echoing through the corridors of your mind long after the glow disappears. The dilemma of influence. When considering the possibility of meeting a future self through a wormhole, the concept of influence flickers to the forefront with intense moral and philosophical implications. If you had a chance to converse with someone who exists decades ahead, someone who's already navigated the vicissitudes of life, you confront a profound dilemma. Should you heed their advice or resist it? Your future self has already traveled the road you're currently walking, with all its twists and turns, triumphs and failures. Yet, offering guidance is a gamble. What begins as helpful hints could morph into potential interference, reshaping the course of your life in unpredictable ways. Picture this. Your future self, perhaps weathered yet wise, warns you against a decision you're contemplating today. The temptation to listen is irresistible. Who wouldn't want insider knowledge from the future? But then comes the paradox. By taking that advice, you might inadvertently alter the course of your life in ways that your future self can't foresee. If your choices are fundamentally free, then influence from a future version of you might become a subtle dagger, slicing through the fabric of free will. The more you rely on future knowledge, the more you risk turning your present into a predetermined script, robbing life of its spontaneity and raw authenticity. This dilemma deepens if your future self is motivated by a desire to steer you toward what they know will be best. Could they have your best interests at heart? Or are they burdened with their own version of regret, wishing they could nudge you away from their mistakes? The power imbalance is staggering. Even if their intentions are noble, their influence might sway decisions that define your entire existence. That's a heady, intoxicating temptation. Someone who's already been through life storms might seem like the ultimate advisor, yet they could inadvertently become a puppeteer, pulling strings from a different point in time. And what about the ripple effects? Small influences, when accumulated, can cause seismic shifts. Meeting your future self might inadvertently create a butterfly effect, changing how you perceive yourself, your goals, your values. What seems like a benign piece of advice could set off a chain reaction, transforming your personality and your life's trajectory in profound ways. The question becomes, is your free will a fragile flame flickering in the wind, or is it a sturdy force resistant to even the most compelling influence? The tension between knowledge and autonomy makes this encounter not just emotionally charged, but fundamentally philosophical, an eternal puzzle wrapped in cinematic drama, changing the future or upholding it. When you stumble upon your future self through the unfathomable tunnel of a wormhole, the encounter becomes a cinematic crossroads, an intersection of possibility and consequence. Your future self, weathered by time and experience, could offer insights that reshape your understanding of life, or perhaps confirm the path you've chosen. The dilemma isn't just about whether to listen or ignore. It's about the ripple effects of action and inaction. Would you question the wisdom of trying to alter what has already happened, or could your intervention rewrite destiny itself? This paradox is the core of the moment, brimming with tension and moral ambiguity. On one side lies the allure of change, saving a loved one, avoiding catastrophic mistakes, or accelerating personal growth. The temptation to fix past regrets, to tweak a single decision, feels irresistible when faced with your own future voice, wizening or mellow, but undeniably familiar. Yet, the deeper truth lurks in the unpredictability of time. Every change you impose might trigger a cascade of unforeseen consequences, unraveling other parts of your life in ways you hadn't anticipated. Kindness to your past self could ironically lead to new suffering or chaos, emphasizing that the future you intend to shape may already be intricately woven with the fabric of what is. Conversely, some argue that the most profound act is to uphold what has unfolded, cherishing the lessons embedded in your past experiences. There's a certain nobility in accepting the path you've traveled, despite its pain or mistakes. When the future self appears, perhaps their message isn't to alter, but to bear witness, to affirm that your current choices are valid, or at least a necessary part of the larger tapestry. This stance leans heavily into the idea that some destinies are meant to unfold exactly as they do, destined or not, and that resisting the flow might only cause more suffering. Still, it's hard to ignore the seductive power of doing something, anything, to avoid the regret of inaction when faced with a glimpse of what could be. The experience becomes a tightrope walk between free will and predetermination. Engage with your future self, and you risk fracturing the seamless nature of time, opening a Pandora's box filled with moral dilemmas. To change or uphold isn't just a decision, but a philosophical debate in miniature, each choice echoing through layers of reality and perception. Sometimes, the greatest courage lies in accepting the unknowable, in trusting the chaos of the universe. Other times, it's in the bold act of intervention, trusting that, despite paradoxes, human agency offers a chance to shape what lies ahead, even if just a little. The wormhole, a portal to the impossible, reminds us that each path, altered or conserved, carries its own weight, its own story. The consequences of the encounter. Seeing a future version of oneself emerge from a wormhole is an event laden with chaos and profound implications. The immediate psychological impact is staggering. Imagine the flood of information, the jarring visual distortion, and the overwhelming certainty that you are face-to-face with a version of yourself possibly decades ahead. The encounter could fracture your understanding of control, causality, and free will. Would your future self warn you of impending catastrophe, or would they subtly suggest that your current choices are already written in the fabric of time? Either way, it would shatter the naive linearity of life, plunging you into a paradox where your present might feel like a shadow of what's to come or a mere reflection of what's already happened. On a practical level, the consequences ripple out beyond the initial shock. Interacting with your future self could alter the trajectory of your life, perhaps unintentionally. If you ask about a critical decision, the future you might sincerely advise differently than what you would have chosen on your own. Yet, this raises a paradox. If you follow the future you's guidance, you may unknowingly change the future itself, making the very wisdom you receive unreliable. It becomes a game of cause and effect that spirals into chaos, risking a divergent timeline where the life you knew dissolves into a different reality altogether. For some, this could mean erasing loved ones, missing opportunities, or encountering unforeseen disasters, all because of a moment of curiosity or hope. The ripple effects extend further into the philosophical domain. Encountering your future self could spawn existential crises, legitimacy issues, or even a sense of helplessness. If you learn that a pivotal event in your life is predetermined, you might question whether your choices truly matter. On the flip side, if your future self suggests that your future is malleable, it might ignite a reckless pursuit of altering destiny, which could lead to unforeseen consequences, some disastrous, others enlightening. In either scenario, the encounter sets off a chain of consequences that challenge your fundamental beliefs about identity and agency. The nature of the universe itself seems to tilt on its axis, as the fabric of time becomes less fixed and more fluid. Ultimately, the biggest consequence is perhaps emotional and ethical. Meeting yourself from the future could foster feelings of hope, regret, or fear, depending on what that future reveals. If your future self hints at a life of happiness and fulfillment, it could light a fire inside your current self to push forward regardless of obstacles. Conversely, if it hints at regret or tragedy, despair can seep into your present perspective, affecting mental health and decision-making even more profoundly. The moral quandary then becomes, do you tell your current self everything, risking that knowledge's destructive influence, or do you remain in blissful ignorance, potentially missing out on life's richness? The choice, like the encounter, remains paradoxically tied to the very fabric of time itself, deciding to part ways or stay. Standing face to face with a version of yourself emerging from a shimmering wormhole introduces a paradox that's both tantalizing and terrifying. The moment hinges on a silent question. Do you trust this stranger who shares your memories, your fears, your dreams? The future self might carry the weight of choices you've yet to make, the baggage of past mistakes, or the relief of hard-won wisdom. It's a crossroads where the mind juggles conflicting impulses, curiosity battling caution, hope wrestling with doubt. Halting at that intersection becomes an act of introspection, a silent negotiation between what could be, and what should be. The decision to part ways or stay can feel like a lever with universe-altering potential. To remain together could mean exchanging insights that reshape your current outlook, gaining invaluable guidance rooted in an experience you haven't yet lived. But it also opens a Pandora's box of risks. What if this version of yourself has done things differently, made choices you despise or regret? Staying might deepen the bond, but also tether you to a future that's unpredictable, possibly darker or more oppressive than your current fears allow. Conversely, choosing to part ways is an act of self-preservation, a way to protect the fragile continuum of your life. It suggests a firm boundary. This moment is a fleeting anomaly, not a portal for second chances. Yet, the emotional pull of that connection can be overwhelming. Encountering a future self could evoke a flood of envy, admiration, or even resentment. What if that version looks at you with pity or with disdain for your current struggles? Dividing at that moment might feel like a loss of potential, an abandonment of a chance to rewrite the narrative. Conversely, it might be the only way to keep your sense of integrity intact, acknowledging that some truths are too dangerous or complicated to carry into a present that's fragile enough. The decision is not just about the logistics of staying or leaving. It becomes a testament to your understanding of self and the recognition that some journeys are meant to be traveled alone. In the end, choosing to part ways or stay hinges on the delicate balance of trust and fear. If the future self offers clarity or reassurance, it could be tempting to cling, to try and rewrite bad chapters or reinforce good ones. Yet, resistance often lies in the recognition that some encounters are meant to serve as mirrors, showing you who you are now, not who you will become. The choice to walk away is an act of hope, a stubborn refusal to let the future define or consume you. Deep inside, it might be a silent acknowledgement that the true power lies not in bending time, but in daring to face what is here, now, and holding your story tightly, even if it's messy, uncertain, or incomplete. Reflections on time and identity. When contemplating the encounter with a future self emerging from a wormhole, questions about the fluidity and stability of identity surge to the surface. Time, once perceived as a linear sequence, reveals itself as a tapestry woven with paradoxes. Meeting a version of oneself from a distant future places that linear narrative under a microscope. Suddenly, the self becomes a collection of moments, choices, and unchosen paths. Your future self, bearing the weight of decades, might carry the scars of experiences you haven't yet lived, yet paradoxically, that version of you might also represent a version that hasn't even begun to exist. This confrontation upends the idea that who you are now is fixed. Instead, it hints at a future self as both an extension of you and an entirely different entity shaped by alternate decisions and circumstances. The experience could force a profound reconsideration of what constitutes identity. Is it rooted solely in the present consciousness, or does it extend across the continuum of time, tying together past, present, and future into one undivided self? Seeing your future self, possibly wiser or more worn, creates a visceral awareness that time is not just a backdrop, but a participant in shaping who you are. Your future self may have achieved things you only dream of, or perhaps they carry regrets you've yet to encounter. Their presence challenges the notion of a steady self, suggesting instead that identity is a dynamic, evolving entity, an ongoing conversation between different versions of yourself across the years. The paradoxes become especially stark when imagining the influence this future version might exert. Would they see your current decisions as naive or misguided? Would their knowledge of what's to come taint your present choices with foreknowledge, possibly sparking a cascade of moral and existential doubts? The very idea that you could communicate with that self raises questions about free will and determinism, about whether you are the author of your life or merely a character within a predetermined script that spans eternity. This encounter would serve as a mirror both unsettling and illuminating, emphasizing that the boundaries of personal identity blur when linked through the timeless lens of a wormhole. Ultimately, the encounter would distill the essence of human existence, an endless dance between becoming and being. The image of your future self, undeniably intertwined with your current identity, becomes a symbol of hope and dread in equal measure. It reveals that who we are is never truly fixed, but in constant flux, sculpted by choices made and paths untraveled. In the end, perhaps the most profound realization is that time, with all its mysteries, offers no final answer, but instead invites us into an ongoing reflection on who we are and who we might become, forever entwined in the tapestry of possibility. Meeting your future self through a wormhole would be akin to stepping into a cosmic mirror, revealing paradoxes that could shatter your understanding of reality. Suppose you peer into that swirling vortex and suddenly find yourself face to face with a version of you who has already experienced everything you're about to endure. The implications stretch beyond mere curiosity. They ripple into the very fabric of causality. Is this encounter a blessing or a curse? Would your future self warn you of impending danger, or would they remain silent, wary of influencing the course of your life? The paradox deepens as you realize that speaking to your future self could fundamentally alter your timeline. If this new version of you advises immediate action against a looming catastrophe, do you follow that advice, risking unforeseen consequences? Or do you dismiss it, trusting in your present judgment? This crossing of timelines blurs the line between cause and effect, echoing the classic grandfather paradox, where an action in the past might prevent your very existence. In some way, the wormhole becomes a battleground for free will and predetermined fate, each choice echoing through layers of temporal uncertainty. Cinematic narratives often portray these moments with heightened emotion, capturing the raw tension of such a profound encounter. Imagine the low hum of the wormhole's energy, flickering lights casting shadows on your face as your future self, older, wiser, maybe even worn out, tests your resolve with a knowing gaze. The encounter isn't just about gathering information. It becomes a test of trust and acceptance. Would you believe this version of yourself, or dismiss their warnings as the elaborate illusions of a universe that loves to toy with its inhabitants? The stakes are painfully high. One wrong word or decision might set off a chain reaction that rewires your entire existence, perhaps even unraveling the fabric of your universe. All of this adds a layer of cinematic grandeur to what might initially seem like a scientific curiosity. The reality of such an encounter isn't just about the mechanics of wormholes. It's about confronting the deepest questions of identity, destiny, and the nature of time itself. Meeting your future self could be the ultimate twist of fate, an encounter that challenges your understanding of what it means to be alive, genuine, and in control of your life's narrative. It's a moment that could inspire hope or plunge you into despair, depending on how you navigate the paradoxes woven into the tapestry of time. And so, we stand at the edge of this cosmic mystery, pondering what it truly means to meet ourselves across the fabric of time and space. The paradox of encountering a future self, an echo of who we might become, reminds us that our choices today shape the person staring back at us tomorrow. What if that future us holds answers? Or perhaps more questions, deepening the mystery of our very existence? It's a reminder that our journey isn't just about discovering the unknown. It's about understanding ourselves in the process. Imagine the stories that future you could share, the lessons learned, the dreams realized or left behind, all woven through that wormhole of possibility. If you found this adventure into the unknown compelling, stay tuned. More questions, more marvels, and mind-bending explorations await. Because in the end, the universe isn't just out there. It's within us, waiting to be uncovered. Keep dreaming, keep questioning, and maybe someday, you'll meet your future self. Not just through a wormhole, but face to face in the story of your life.